Hello everyone and welcome to Valamore Things. Feel free to follow me to see more of my content. Thank you and I hope you'll enjoy the video. Hello guys and welcome back to another video. We are finally here, finally back for another video. Sorry for the long wait. It's been like 3 weeks since last video. I am so sorry, but I'm not really enjoying the game anymore lately, so I'm hoping that Modern Horizon 3 can change and shake things up a bit. But here I am back with another video. Today we're talking about the top 7 scary cards in the Modern Horizon 3, in my opinion, which are not essentially the top 7 powerful cards or most useful cards in the set, but the most scary cards. The cards that, in my opinion, can lead to unhealthy play pattern and that are really hard to deal with. And perhaps OGAC level, let's say OGAC level, okay? Which is, yeah, broken and unhealthy. But these things aren't necessarily broken because they work only in... there are some deck building restrictions in order for these cards to work, and we will talk about that in a minute. So thank you for being here for another video. Let's jump into the first scary card out of the 7 top scarier cards in the set, which is number 1, Springheart Nantuko. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I hate Amulet Titan and the play pattern it generates. So how Springheart Nantuko works in Amulet Titan? It's pretty simple and pretty obvious. You start off like Basic Forest, tap Amulet of Vigor, and on turn 2 you go tap Basic Forest, Arboreal Grazer, you put a land into the battlefield thanks to Arboreal Grazer ability. You put Simic Growth Chamber, you untap the Simic Growth Chamber thanks to Amulet of Vigor. You add 2 mana, okay, stay with me. You bounce a Simic Growth Chamber thanks to his own triggered abilities, okay. So you now have 1 green and 1 blue floating mana. Simic Growth Chamber in your hand, you can still make your land drop, and 2 floating mana, okay. With that 2 floating mana, you bestow Springheart Nantuko on the Arboreal Grazer. What does a Springheart Nantuko does? Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 if a Springheart Nantuko is attached to a creature you control. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. If you didn't create a token this way, create a 1/1 green insect. So, what we do now that Springheart Nantuko is bestowed on Arboreal Grazer, we play Simic Growth Chamber, triggering Springheart Nantuko. Okay, Springheart Nantuko will copy Arboreal Grazer. Okay, so we put with the first Arboreal Grazer copy trigger, we put Simic Growth Chamber into the battlefield, we untap thanks to Amulet of Vigor, we add 2 mana, we put Simic Growth Chamber into our hand. We play Simic Growth Chamber. So landfall triggers, another Arboreal Grazer, and so on and so far. And we create on turn 2, everything will be playable in 4 copies. On turn 2, we create infinite Arboreal Grazers. Okay. So we create infinite copies of Arboreal Grazers. And thanks to Orman Reef the Vastwood, we can just play Orman Reef the Vastwood, tap, put a +1/+1 on each of these Arboreal Grazers, and close out the game on the next turn. Which is, in my opinion, pretty insane, because we have so many ways to assemble this combo, thanks to Summoner's Pact, Urza Saga, Mycosynth land that copies the Amulet of Vigor. So many ways. Expedition mapped to the Rap Simic Growth Chamber or either Overreef the Vastwood. I mean, perhaps they can even cut some Primeval Titans to play this thing. And on turn 3, we can even do the same exact thing, but with Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Infinite 2/4 attacking you. I think this Springheart Nantuko will be so good, and we'll see will definitely see at least some play at some point. Someone will try this out in Amulet of Vigor. Or someone will build a deck that just do this combo here you're seeing. And I think this is scary, because I know how powerful Amulet of Vigor is, and the unhealthy play pattern that it contains. Like, they can go nuts on turn 3 or turn 4, or turn 2 even with some luck. So this is pretty insane. And I am really, really, really scared of Spring Art Nantuko. What do you guys think about this? Tell me in the comments what do you think about Spring Art Nantuko. So that's all for Spring Art Nantuko. Let's jump into the second card, which is Eugene's Labyrinth. So this thing can lead to something really, really, really unhealthy, which is Chalice of the Void on 1 in turn 1. So I am not yet sure in which kind of deck you should or you could play Eugene's Labyrinth, but I know for sure that Affinity and in general big mana Eldrazi deck can play this thing and want to play this thing. Because I mean, I can play Eugene's Labyrinth turn 1, I exile Sojourner's Companion, Thought Monitor, no, Thought Monitor is blue, Sojourner's Companion, Mirror Enforcer, or whatever in Affinity. I'm talking about Affinity right now. Or whatever, and you go like Glimmer Void and Synthesizer. Sorry. Sorry. Synthesizer. I forgot the name. Synthesizer on turn 2, which is insane. You can go like, I mean, okay. Eugene's Labyrinth, exile Sojourner's Companion, Chalice of the Void turn 1. On 1, which is already super, super strong. You're locking out Amulet of Vigor, Young Wolf, Lightning Bolt, DRC, Ragavan, Prismatic Ending. You're Prismatic Ending on 1, of course. You're locking so many things out of the game. Turn 2, you go like Spire of Industry, Island, or whatever land you want. Synthesizer, and it's basically game over. So it's really, really, really strong. Talking about Affinity, or in general, big artifact mana decks. And talking about Eldrazi and big mana Eldrazi decks, you can play Eugene's Labyrinth, and on turn 1 go Eldrazi Mimich. Turn 2, exiling, I don't know, All Is Dust or whatever big Eldrazi you're playing. And turn 2, Eldrazi Temple, Thought-Knot Seer, Eldrazi Mimich becomes a copy of Thought-Knot Seer, Pam 4 damage, you go Thought Seeds on the opponent. It's really, or maybe even worse, you can go like, this isn't legendary, so you can go the One Ring on turn 2. The One Ring on turn 2, and I forgot about that, because you can see the One Ring in my PowerPoint here. So, I mean, and you can even tap and return the exiled card to your end, to its owner's end. It's insane. This thing here is so good and will cost about, I don't know, 40, 50 ticks, and I don't even want to think about how much this thing will cost in paper. This is insane. And also the art is pretty cool, I would say. And you can even exile Eugene on this thing. And talking about unhealthy play patterns, which is the whole point of the video, Eugene's Labyrinth into turn 1 Chalice of the Void isn't really a thing I would like to see in Modern. This is Legacy power level. Not Modern. This is a bit too much in my opinion. And I am so scared about this. But let's talk about the number 3 card, which is Nadu, Winged Wisdom. So I'm not yet quite sure how can you break this thing, but it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that you can break this with Shuko. Okay, Shuko. So what does Nadu say? First of all, creatures you control. So not only him, but every creature you control has, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or an ability, or an ability. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Not tapped, just on the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn, so even in my opponent's turn. So what happens when I perpetually target Nado Winged Wisdom with Shuko? I can trigger him once, okay, then trigger him twice, or the other creator I'm equipping with Shuko. 2 triggers, and then I go, I draw 1 or I draw 2, or I put 1 or 2 lands into the battlefield or whatever, so it's already insane card advantage every turn. I go Essence Flux or Ephemerate or whatever thing that blinks a creature away. Nadu comes back onto the battlefield as a completely new Nadu. Okay, so I can do this thing another time and another time, twice, and I will draw and I will get my land another time, and then I can Ephemerate him and do that again and again and again until I run out of gas. So I can clearly see like a Bant Soulherder blink value thing with Stoneforge Mystic, Solitude, Subtlety, Essence Flux, Ephemerate, Shuko, and just get an insane amount of card advantage out of Nadu. Leyline Binding, whatever, the most broken interactive cards that are in the format right now. And this thing is probably better than the One Ring because it's also a 3/4 flyer. And if your opponent wants to remove it, you still get the trigger because this triggers twice each turn. So even in your opponent's turn. So this is nuts. Why did I put Tassa's Oracle here? Because I am not sure how yet, but I think that we can break this thing in order to mill our entire deck in a few turns and just play a Tassa's Oracle and win the game. I'm not yet sure how, but I'm sure that some decent brewers like Aspiring Spike and Duck Fading are surely working on this. So we just have to wait and see what they will come up with. So in the top 7 scary cards, maybe this one is the least scary, but it's also very, very scary. This doesn't look like broken level, but it has some really, really good interactions with cards like Shuko and Ephemerate, and this card is gonna be good for sure. So let's talk about the next one. Shifting Woodland. So this one is the one I'm the most excited about. Well, in reality, the second one, because, well, you will see. The last one is the one I'm the most excited about. But Shifting Woodland here is really interesting. Sorry. So what does Shifting Woodland do? So Shifting Woodland, non-legendary land, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest. So it's really easy to have this thing hit the battlefield untapped. Tap, add 1 green mana. Delirium. 4 mana. Not tapping, so 4 mana, activation cost, 2 uncolor, 2 green. So you can tap this land to generate the green, so you can do this on turn 3. On turn 4, sorry. Shifting Woodland becomes a copy of target permanent card in your graveyard until the end of turn. Activate only if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, which is the Delirium cost. Pretty easy to get. I mean, with Mishra's Bubble and whatever cards we may play in this kind of decks, it's pretty easy to hit Delirium. So where do I see this card being played? And what are the best targets for this card? So I think Shifting Woodland will be played in like black, green, blue shells with plenty of options to put things in the graveyard, plenty of options to hit Delirium, and plenty of options to have 2 green mana. And what are the best targets for Shifting Woodland? I think that the best targets for shifting woodland is Omniscience. You can easily put Omniscience into your graveyard. You can easily copy Omniscience while it's in your graveyard thanks to shifting woodland. And while you have Omniscience copied, it's basically GG, because you will get so much value out of it in just one turn. You can perhaps, I don't know, play Grief and whatever other cards you have for free. So this is going to be insane. I am so scared. I'm talking about Modern now because Legacy is another thing, but this thing has some implications even in Legacy. But we're talking about Modern now. Shifting Woodland here really has some potential for new deck building. I mean, this thing can copy the One Ring. This thing can copy everything that it's in your graveyard for just 4 mana. So what you want to do is put overpriced and OP and overpowered cards in your graveyard and just copy them. You can even copy Emrakul before his trigger goes off. So while Emrakul it's in your graveyard and it's about to be shuffled away, you can copy him and swing with this because it's a land. This thing is so good. Okay, so Shifting Woodland is a pretty decent card, and it comes in rare, so its price won't be that high, I hope. And I really cannot wait to brew with this because I already have some ideas on how to use this. But it's going to be great, and not broken, but great. This looks great. Nice design. I love it. But I am scared about this because it's easily breakable. This thing can easily become a problem because lands are really hard to deal with. You almost have no ways of destroying a land. I mean, you have Boseiju, Fulminator Mage, but those cards are not that played. I mean, yeah, Primeval Titan plays Boseiju, and Yagmoth plays Fulminator Mage and Boseiju, but not so many lands. Yeah, I mean, Creativity plays Boseiju, but you get the point. You can't just bolt this thing away. Okay, it's not that easy. You need something especially for lands. So let's talk about the next one. I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me. So Wrath of the Skies. I'm not exactly sure whether this card is going to be scary for real or not. But in general, I hate mass removals, and this thing is a very flexible mass removal. So what does Wrath of the Skies does? 2 white mana and X sorcery speed. You get X energy counters. Then you may pay any amount of energy counters. Destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy paid this way. So you can crack everything that's on the battlefield like multiple times, because you can cast this thing the first time with like, I don't know, I pay 3 energy but I only use 2. And then on the next round you want to crack it 1, you just pay 2 and use the energy you had before. Or in an energy heavy deck that may be born with all the energy cards that has been spoiled, so maybe we will see new archetypes coming to life, and one of those will be energy. You can perhaps pay just 2 white mana, use some of the energy you already had generated from other cards, and wipe everything away. Artifacts, creatures, and enchantments with mana value less than or equal. So everything with less than. It's not like you pay 2 and you destroy 2 like at engineered explosives level. No, it's way beyond that. It's a Wrath of God under steroids. I don't know, this thing is really, really good. It's beyond good. And I am scared because I hate mass removals. So for now, this thing is quite scary, but I don't see, at the moment, I don't see any of the tier decks in the format playing this. But as I said, new tier decks may come to life thanks to the new infusion that Modern Horizons is putting into the format in a few days from now. So this thing may lead to unaltered play patterns, which are control play patterns, which I hate. So this thing is here because in general, master removals aren't that much fun. So on with the next card, which might be the last. I don't remember about that. No, it's not the last, it's the 6th. So Eugene's Binding. 3 mana, instant with Devoid, 2 colorless mana and 1 blue. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So it's a bad boomerang. But stay with me. The true potential of this card isn't surely what we've just read right now, but it's the next string of text. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with mana value 7 or greater, you may exile Eugene's Binding from your graveyard. When you do, return each non-land permanent you don't control, yes guys, you don't control, to its owner's hand. So basically I can go like the new Eugene's Labyrinth, turn 1, turn 2 Island, Eugene's Binding on whatever you have on the battlefield, your goddamn Wrenn 6 or whatever. And now I have Eugene's Binding in my graveyard. We start building our board state. I go like Urza, Lord High Artificer, and I create some artifacts. I don't know, Frogmite, 1 construct, and whatever artifact lands. And when it's the right time, I just play one out of those guys, or maybe Thought Monitor or whatever thing with 7 or greater colorless. Colorless. So no, Thought Monitor once more. Sorry. So one of these 3. I exile this thing from my graveyard and I bounce each non-land permanent you control to your hand. This thing is, I mean, it's basically GG. Cast at the right time. I mean, it's not even cast, it's an ability. You can't even counter that. You can stifle it, you can trick bind it, you can whatever, but you cannot counter that with a counter spell. This thing is going to be insane. Of course, I'm really small-minded, so what I'm thinking about is affinity or artifacts decks. But imagine, I don't know, a new big mana Eldrazi deck, big mana blue Eldrazi deck that controls the board with Eugene's Binding and the One Ring and Repeal and whatever. And at a certain point, they cast with Emerge, one of those new Emerge Eldrazi's that are around, with, of course, mana value 7 or greater, and they bounce everything you have. It's GG on the spot, and you cannot even counter that. I think this thing is really, really, really scary. Like 9 out of 10 scary. It's my rating. This thing has me really, really, really concerned because I only think about affinity, but as I said, you can abuse this in so many ways that we don't even know right now, but they will surely come, 100%. So guys, keep an eye on Eugene's Binding, because this thing is really, really, really scary. So the next card might be the last one. I'm pretty sure, so stay with me. Oh yes! Kappa Cannoneer. And by the way, this guy here is me the day Kappa Cannoneer was spoiled, was revealed and was leaked. Oh my god, Kappa Cannoneer, guys. So this thing is so good. So why am I saying that Kappa Cannoneer is scary? Mostly because Kappa Cannoneer is scary in Legacy, which is the most powerful format in the game. Well, if you don't count T1, of course, but Legacy is one of the most powerful formats in the entire game, and the Kappa Cannoneer is a thing in Legacy. Think about Kappa Cannoneer in Modern. You can play that thing on like turn 3 or maybe turn 2 if you're lucky enough. Ward 4, unblockable, growing every single turn. This thing is beyond busted. This thing is so scary. And I know that they printed Meltdown, they printed Vexing Bubble, they printed Winter's Moon. So many Affinity hate going on right now. And there's a reason why. But this thing can endure even the hardest state because it has Ward 4, which is so insanely broken. So I am, of course, excited about Kappa Cannoneer, and I will play Kappa Cannoneer everywhere if possible in my Affinity decks. It's the first thing I'm gonna try is Kappa Cannoneer, of course, but I am also realistically scared about what can happen. I mean, once more, all I can think of is Affinity decks that the best they can do is beating you down with a bunch of creators. But what happens when this thing gets into an Emery plus Urza plus Portable Hole and Metallic Rebuke and the One Ring and Topter Foundry and whatever shell? This Kappa Cannoneer here gives those decks that are already great, I mean that are already good but not great, not top tier decks, just tier 2 decks. Kappa Cannoneer gives those decks another edge of attack, another side which they can attack from. And I am scared that this can lead to unhealthy play patterns in so many ways that you cannot just kill the Kappa Cannoneer because Ward 4 and so many other artifacts on the battlefield, and you can just look at Kappa Cannoneer destroying you in one turn with so many Topters entering the battlefield, triggering him, and I don't know, but Kappa Cannoneer surely is scary. Okay guys, so it's all for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and sorry for the wait. And of course, if you're not following me on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It's free and will help me a lot create new videos for you guys. And I will make a few videos about Modern Horizons 3 before the online release, so stay tuned for more because another video is coming soon. And thank you for staying with me, thank you for watching. See you really soon in the next video. Goodbye and have a nice day.